Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. What is up? Today we are figuring out my lighting because I'm not sure how I feel about it. But anyway, today we are going over my first quarterly stats of the year. I decided, slightly inspired by Books and Lala, although she is much more organized and has more cohesive thoughts than I will. I have not scripted or planned this video whatsoever, so who knows what we're going to talk about, but basically we're just going to talk about my stats in the first 3 months of the year. Yep, that's it. That's the plot. That's the video. So I guess we'll just kind of jump right into it. A little bit of backstory about me and my reading journey. If you are new here, I started really seriously reading again back in 2021. Started off the first 3 months just like reading a few audiobooks when I could, and then like April-ish, I would say, like I got so into reading again, and I was just like, give me all of the books. I've grown my bookshelves since, and it's just gotten a bit bigger and better than ever. I read anywhere from 5 to 15 books a month depending, and it's great. I love it. I started really like tracking books again and falling back in love with them after a long time, and I'm just excited to be here again. Last year I read 75 books in total, and now I'm aiming for 100, and I feel like I'm on a great trajectory. So let's just get into the statistics if you care at all. I'm using specifically Cawpile that the Book Roast, G from the Book Roast, has created for all of these statistics, primarily because that's just easier to have graphics to show you what I'm talking about, right? Also, sorry, we're sitting on my futon, which is in front of my bookshelves, instead of like standing or sitting on like the ledge or whatever, so you can see Romeo. Besides the point, let us jump in to these stats, man. Oh goodness. In the first 3 months of the year, January, February, March, in case you're new to the calendar system, I read in total 24 books, which, seeing as the goal would be 25 per quarter, I'd say that's pretty solid. Pretty solid. I'm pleased with that. In January, I read 9 books, February, I read 6, and in March, I also read 9 books. Okay. Excuse you, bro. I have 0 DNFs. Pretty much. I don't think I DNF'd anything. I don't typically track DNFs because I don't count them as books read unless I DNF'd at like 75% or something, but I don't do that. I just finish a book. So, no DNFs. Pages read per month would be January, 1,033 pages read. February, 180 pages, and then in March, 374. I'm sure you can tell which month had the reading slump in it, you know? For hours listened in audiobooks for January, I read listened to 59.5 hours, February 30.25 hours, and in March 73 hours. Go March. So in total, pages read so far is 1,587 pages, and my hours listened is 162 hours and 45 minutes. Not great, not great. I definitely listen to more audiobooks than I do physically reading or ebooks because that's just what fits my lifestyle best, and it makes me read more. Anyone who tells you that audiobooks isn't reading is wrong, and you can slap them in the face on my behalf. Full permission to enact violence on people you disagree with. In total, I've listened to 17 audiobooks, which makes up 70.8%. I've done 12.5% mixed media, which I would say is my preferred reading method. I love listening to an audiobook whilst I'm physically reading the book along. It just makes me feel a bit faster, keeps my attention, and sometimes narrators are just fucking fantastic in an audiobook form, so of course. And I've read 4 ebooks. My most read genre is fantasy, thank goodness. Last year, like, I like to say that I'm primarily a fantasy reader, and then I don't primarily read fantasy. What's up with that? I don't know. This is all like my fantasy books, and then more contemporary fantasy thrillers, and then like three shelves. Words are so hard. Out of all of my shelves, only 3 of them aren't fantasy. So you could say I'm a fantasy reader, but I often will pick up anything. But I have this weird thing that I don't like to read books that I know I'll like, so I don't pick them up. I don't know what that's all about. My second most read genre is nonfiction, which surprises me because last year I read like no nonfiction, but I'm enjoying it this year. It's been a good time, so I'm here for that statistic. And the next would be horror, which makes perfect sense. I love thriller and horror novels. I can't watch horror movies alone, and my boyfriend is super no fan, so I don't watch horror movies, but when I can read them, it's equally as good, if not better. So far I've read across 11 genres in total, which is pretty alright. Book format wise, I've read 13 novels, 9 novellas, and 2 short stories. I love a short story, really, I do. Like, novels are great, and I know a lot of people don't like short stories, but I love them. Not always, but for the most part, I get enough of the story that it's good. Like, I don't need a drawn out novel for everything, because you can wrap it up in like 100 pages. Who would have thought? Quick reading. Love it. I have read a total of 6 translated books this year, 6 different languages even. I'm pretty impressed with that. I do try to read translated works, and I don't necessarily go out of my way to read them, but it's nice when it just kind of works out. Continuing, I don't really care about publishers, to be honest. Like, I keep track of it, but I don't care. Alright, the star ratings. The star of the show. I've given out 4 5 stars, and I might have to argue not all of those were actually 5 stars, depending if I fix my call piles or not, because I don't typically like rate nonfiction to the world, but I do rate it on Goodreads for my personal self. But also at the same time, I don't really rate nonfiction, so most nonfiction just gets a 5 star, even though it's not truly a 5 star, because I just don't like rating it. So yeah, that's that. I've rated 12 books 4 stars. I guess I could give you the half stars. Maybe that would be better. Let's do that. So yeah, 4 stars. I've given 4 books 5 stars this year, which we will get into, don't you worry. 4.5 stars, I've given 3 of those out, and I've given 9 4 stars out. Not too shabby. And I've given 2, 2.5, 3, and 3.5s each to books. So I would say so far it's been a pretty successful reading year. I don't know if it's my rating is getting more relaxed, or I just don't know how to rate books anymore. Who knows? I feel bad giving books lower ratings, but like that's okay. I've read 16 adult novels, which I still like YA. I know most, if not all, of the booktubers that I watch are slowly leaving the YA realm, but I still like YA. I will read it and pick it up. I'm subscribed to Owlcrate and Fairyloot, which is all YA. I do want to be on the adult subscription as well, because I like reading adult, but I don't mind YA. I think there's pros and cons to it all, but I don't mind. And I've read 7 YA and 1 middle grade. Publication year, I've read 4 books from 2020, 5 books from 2021, and 0 books from 2022. Nice, Sam. And 3 books from 2019. So I'm crushing the backlist. The oldest book that I've read thus far is from 2004. Only 1 book I've had disability rep as the main character's thing, and 1 book with a side character present in the book but not the main character. I've had also 1 book that had disability rep. And then as for LGBTQIA rep, I've got 13 books absent, but I've read 6 books where the main character is of the LGBTQ community, and 5 books where it is present, where it's not the main character, but it's a character. So, not the best, but not terrible. I haven't really been focusing too much on that yet this year. I've just kind of been reading what sounds good, and pro if it has any LGBTQ perks to it. I do prefer my character is a little sapphic, but I'm not... There's too many books that I want to read and so many backlist books that I want to read that I feel like most of them don't represent the LGBTQ. Yeah, I've read one physical book that I own in the first quarter. That's bad. That's really bad. All of my books have been from Scribd, because again, that's like my main way of getting books. It's the most affordable for me and most accessible. And I've read one little short story online, because I love S.T. Gibson and she loves me, because she gave me a low-key sequel to A Dowry of Blood, which, so good. I've had 0 rereads this year, as per usual. I try not to reread too many books because, again, I'm still new to reading heavily again. And I want to continue reading books that I have never read, that have been on my TBR for a long time. I do have plans. My bottom shelves that you can't see have a lot of books that I wish to reread someday. Soon? Maybe? I don't know. As for series versus standalone, I've started 6 series. Technically 5, because one of them was the sequel ending to A Dowry of Blood. So if you count that, 6, but I've started 5. 5 series I have begun. So I have read from 7 POC authors confirmed. I don't dig up a lot of backstory on all the authors that I read. If they don't have information easily accessible, I don't dig into their personal life. If they don't want it on Goodreads, then it's not on Goodreads. But I do try my best to represent the authors that I read to the best of my abilities. But sometimes it's hard and I mark them as unknown, and the others are white or from other white countries. I've read 14 books written by women, my preferred choice. 9 books by men, though. Typically, I feel like horrors and thrillers are male authors. And I've got 1 multiple authors book so far. As for my, like, man and women choices, I don't follow a lot of authors on social media. I don't know a lot of authors' pronouns. I go solely based off their Goodreads description or potential, like, quick Google search. So oftentimes it is man or women based off their blurb. If it says differently, then I will do my best, but it's not always just out in the open eye for Goodreads viewers to know what their pronouns are, and that's totally fine. But it does make it a bit challenging to correctly gender people sometimes, and I do my best, but I'm putting it out there that I might sometimes get it wrong. Another sticky one, I've noted in this spreadsheet that I have read 4 books by own voices authors. I'm sure it's more, seeing as my, like, ratio of people of color is more. I just don't know how to... I don't know the definition of own voices. Like, is it like, I'm a black man, therefore I write a black man's perspective, it's own voices? Probably. I just don't understand own voices, so I'm not very good at noting it. Sorry. I'm an ignorant, dumb little girl. I don't know what I'm doing. I just like to talk to a camera for the internet. But that's how that goes. That's the best I can do. Continuing on to Nationality. I really love that she does this, where I can see what countries basically I'm reading from and what, like, is common. So I read 10 American authors, 3 Irish authors, which are repeat authors because I've read specifically Keelan Patrick Burke twice this year, 3 times this year. Twice this year. Twice this year so far, soon to be 3. So, like, he makes up 2 of the 3. So take it all with a grain of salt, but those are the most noteworthy. As for the new authors or returning, I've got 5 books that are authors that I've read from before, and 19 are brand new authors. As like a baby booktuber that's still getting back into reading, I read all types of new authors. I love picking up a new author and seeing their style. As much as I want to read authors' backlists and continue on, I just don't. For no good reason, I just really don't. If it comes up, it comes up, but if not, like, I'm picking up new people constantly. My 2 most read authors so far this year would be Keelan Patrick Burke. As I mentioned, he's an Irish horror writer, and I'm really into his stuff. Definitely, so far my favorite's been Dead Leaves of the 2 that I've read, and I have plans to read more of his backlist because I'm really enjoying them. And in total, I've read 22 different authors. So, those are the stats. Those are the fun things that I gotta say. That's it, because literally my camera battery is flashing. I gotta go. Thank you so much for watching. This was a mess. Maybe I'll be more organized for the next. I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye!